Is or was Hunter as arrogant as he seems?
Video. I'm really excited. Patrick and I are here and we are going to recap some of the behind the scenes and some of the stuff from the Spartan Games. I put out a story asking for what you guys wanted to know and we got a ton of responses. So we're going to try to go through some of that, compare, contrast to the CrossFit Games, the Spartan Games, but let's get rolling.
Yeah, we watched the Spartan documentary and we're going to try to give you guys just some insight from kind of what you didn't get to see there and some of the questions that you guys may have had. So I'm going to rifle some off to Christy, and we'll start up here at the top. What did all the participants think about the kipping butterfly pull-ups? So much controversy.
Oh gosh.
We'll start with that one.
Kipping and butterfly pull-ups. So I actually was very surprised that they let us do them. They did not like it. The OCR people, with those of us who are professional CrossFit athletes there, knew that that definitely was going to give us a leg up, and many of them said no. But the final ruling from the judges was that we were allowed to. So of course, if I know my competitors are going to be doing it, then I want to also, if I have that skill, I'm going to do it too. There's money on the line and we want to go as fast as we possibly can. So we did do kipping and butterfly pull-ups, but it was a hot topic and definitely a controversy. I honestly, it was wet that day and it was pouring down and freezing and I had my grips and I jumped up and it was only 8 pull-ups for the girls and I only made it through 3 kipping. I can usually do 30 or 40 or 50 at a time, but we were on a really thick bar and it was slick. So then I was just like, okay, you just gotta go. So just figuring out how to use the momentum and the rhythm for those last 5 pull-ups. But I almost think strict would have been as fast, if not faster, just not having that drop down. So there definitely was controversy though.
From my perspective too, I thought it was interesting that had controversy around it because in CrossFit, we've got a wide variety of movements, but even within that, if you go to a competition, there's very strict standards for each individual movement. No matter how simple the movement is, everybody's briefed on what those standards are to uphold, and that hasn't quite made it into Spartan yet. You could see that in some of the other movements that, whether it was like the burpee with the weighted thing, it was just do a burpee. There wasn't a need to have a lockout anywhere, and you saw a really wide range there. So
I'm gonna jump in there because that's not quite accurate. They just told us that the thing had to go from the ground to overhead, but it wasn't a standard. So as long as you cleared your head, you could clear your head with a lockout, you could clear your head with a thing. They did brief that stuff. It's just different standards than what we're used to seeing in CrossFit, and I think more gray standards than what we've seen in CrossFit.
On to the next one. Speaking of CrossFit, how does it compare to the CrossFit Games? And for you guys who don't know, Christy tested the CrossFit Games the week before.
Yeah.
The week before the Spartan Games, so she had back-to-back comparisons of what the Spartan Games and the CrossFit Games felt like.
So I was super fortunate. I got asked to go out and test the 2020 CrossFit Games and a full run through. So we got to do each event exactly as planned on that time frame and then see how our bodies held up, see how we felt, and so on. And that really helped with the test that they were going to do with those 5 athletes. And I got home on Monday night and then flew out on Wednesday night. I think Thursday morning or Wednesday night. I literally booked my flights to the Spartan race Tuesday morning and then I flew out Thursday morning. So it was a really quick turnaround, and I remember flying home because obviously you guys know the final event was at Atlanta, and I remember flying home in my seat. My hands were all ripped up, my legs were so sore, I didn't want to straighten my arms, and then the whole ride home from California in my head I was like, I am not going to the Spartan Games, I am not doing this, I'm way too sore, I'm way too tired. And then I didn't want to miss a cool opportunity and a cool experience, and I am so thankful Sam Briggs, my husband, convinced me to go do it and just challenge myself and use my fitness that I worked so hard in from the gym with something else. So how does it compare? It's totally different. Mentally, I love the long stuff, but it really took a toll on my body. With the CrossFit Games, there isn't a 6-hour race. The longest race was an hour to maybe an hour and 15 minutes. With the Spartan Games, we had a 45-minute swim. We had a 5-hour mountain bike ride. We had a 6-hour run. We had another hour-plus obstacle course run. And then we were asked to move some heavy stuff as well. So honestly, for me, the Spartan Games, I'm gonna say was 10 times harder. And I think that's just because mentally I didn't know what to expect. And my body was also in a different stimulus.
How did you feel in the wrestling event?
Oh gosh, wrestling. Okay, so when they announced wrestling, I'm sure we could put a picture up on the screen maybe, or we'll cut to one, but I think my face was like, we are wrestling. I was nervous. I was actually terrified, and I did not want to do it. I am not a fighter. I don't like fighting. I also just, I don't want to get hurt. I also don't want anyone else to get hurt. Like, we're all professionals at what we do, and I want to keep doing what we do after this weekend. And that's my mind, is even when I'm lifting a heavy barbell, I'm always thinking about staying healthy so we can keep doing it. But I think it turned out to be one of my favorite events. I'll never forget the first two. I think it was Corinna and Emma, or Corinna and Nicole. It was 3, 2, 1, go. And the thuds of their bodies hitting the ground was terrifying. But your adrenaline just kind of took over, and we're all smart athletes, and we all know how to protect ourselves and also keep ourselves safe and healthy, which turned that out to be one of my favorite events.
If you, knowing what you know now, if you could have trained for it, what would you do differently?
If I could have trained for the Spartan race, I would have gotten a mountain bike or rented one. I have never mountain biked until that. Obviously, you guys saw I took last in the mountain bike. I'm just so afraid of getting hurt, and I was so terrified. And the trails, they said technical non-rolling. I thought we were going to be riding on like rolling hills and grass. We were climbing 1,000 feet every time, and it was absolutely terrifying. I think the whole first lap I ran my bike more than I even biked it. So prepping for that, I love cycling. I love being on a bike, but I've just never mountain biked. So that was, for me, the win of the weekend, was making it through that and not getting it cut, because it was terrifying. Other than that, I would just keep prepping with longer stuff. So just making sure that my mind and my body was ready for 3+ hours of something, and I knew how to hydrate and fuel, and my body was ready for that during those events.
Is or was Hunter as arrogant as he seems? I didn't ask it.
Hunter. The thing that I'm going to say is Hunter can back it up. So Hunter can kind of do what he wants, because he definitely backs it up. I don't know if arrogant is the right word, but Hunter's very special. And he's a blast to compete with, for sure.
What did you think the hardest event of the Spartan Games was?
The hardest event of the Spartan Games, I think for me, was the mountain bike. I started feeling like I was getting really shaky. I started cramping at the end, just because the whole first lap I was so terrified that I don't think I drank or ate anything, because I didn't know how to bike and eat, and I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep moving. So that one just really wrecked me mentally and physically, and it was just a whole new stimulus and challenge that I've never done before, but it also made me a better athlete.
Was it fun?
It was miserably fun. So there's this cool camaraderie, and I met the coolest people. And what it did for me is it made me excited about other sports and about other athletes and the way that they train. And it made me take all of my fitness that I do inside of the gym and really start to think outside of the box. And it makes me want to continue with more endurance stuff. It makes me want to continue learning how to mountain bike. It makes me want to swim more in cold water. I've never worn a neoprene cap until this time, because it was so freaking cold. We couldn't even just wear a silicone cap. And it just really pushed me outside of my comfort zone, which is why I went in the first place. And I am so thankful and grateful for the relationships that I established with the other athletes that were there. They taught me so much, and it's an experience I'll never forget.
Did you run and bike the same course, or were those different?
The courses were slightly different. So it was the same peak. So if you guys saw in the video, there was that cabin at the top. So that's how you knew you got there, but the courses were slightly different. The running was interesting because you weren't on trails the whole time. They basically made their own trails. So at some point on the bike, we were pretty much on a single track the whole way. So they actually took a leaf blower so we could see the track, thank goodness, or I would have been lost on the mountain somewhere. But for the running, they didn't do that, and there was some bushwhacking and some off-trail stuff, which was also a little nerve-wracking as your legs got tired 4 to 5 hours in. You didn't want to twist an ankle, twist a knee, or anything like that.
So typically when we're out at the games, we have a pretty nice hotel room. We get bussed around. There's a pretty tight schedule. It's pretty comfortable, and there's food supplied. How is that stay compared to the stay at the Spartan Games?
Guys, when I got home, I was the most tired I've ever been in my entire life. And I think that is what he's talking about, is we stayed, for those of you guys who didn't see the first episode, or you should go back and watch it. When we walked in, they had cots for us, and they were essentially camping cots with a mattress about this thick on top, and they gave us a pillow, a sheet, and a blanket, I think, if I can even remember. And we were all in one area. So we had like 2 bathrooms for the females and the guys had 2 bathrooms upstairs, and the showers weren't even there. They were, you had to walk, I don't know how far, 500 feet, probably further, to get to a shower trailer and then walk back in the freezing cold. And just sleeping in a room with 12 other girls, like some people snore, some people talk, people are on their phones, people are reading at night with their lamps. And it's just like knowing somebody's, you know, because of COVID, they had us spaced out appropriately, but 6 feet over, and it's this person that you just met. It just definitely puts you outside of your comfort zone. You're not in a warm hotel room. You're not in a comfortable bed. It was not comfortable at all. By the end of the 4 days, all of our cots had like major dips in them because they just weren't even like puffing back up, I guess. I don't even know if we needed the cot. And then you just do it. You just make do with it. And the other thing was food. The first couple of days, all of us athletes were like, we need carbs. I eat so many carbs, and they were feeding us, I can't even remember what the carbs were at the time, but it was always mixed into something, but we never had rice or bread or anything like that. It was polenta and corn as our carbs, and we were all dying. So then they started bringing us, they took our requests, and the next meal they switched it up, and which was awesome of them to do. But it was just this whole unique experience where you're not in charge of your food. You're eating what they're giving you. You're sleeping in quarters with lots of people, not in your own bed. You don't really get any quiet time. And I think I slept like 2 hours a night, and I was exhausted and I wasn't fueled the way that I normally am. So that alone was a challenge in itself. And then you had to mentally prep yourself and get yourself ready to go to compete against these phenomenal athletes. So that alone was the coolest experience. And that is something that completely set this apart from the CrossFit Games.
What is something that either happened or a story that didn't get told in the documentary that you found interesting?
Well, a story that didn't get told. So Lauren was dropped in at the last second. So we found out she was competing at the last second and she was killing it. And then another story was, in the first day, my timing chip fell off and they were gonna give me a DQ, but I had my GPS watch on that they asked us to wear. So I felt like it was like this whole setup thing, but actually it wasn't. My timing chip just fell off and I had no idea. So I almost got 0 points, which would have definitely knocked me out of the top 5 in the end. But we were able to go back, thanks to this watch, count all of my laps, track everything that I did and the exact time, so I could still have those points and end up finishing pretty well.
Would you do it again?
I would absolutely do it again. In the moment, probably I was like, no, like I am coming home. Everything hurts. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I can't believe I signed up for this. But really, as an athlete, that's what you want. You want them to challenge you and you want them to push you outside of your comfort zone. And this pushed me further than I've ever been pushed in my entire life. And I'm so grateful and thankful that I got the opportunity to go experience this.
Cool. If you guys have any more questions or there's anything that we didn't answer that you guys are curious about, drop those in the comments below. You got anything else, Christy?
Definitely go back and watch it. All 4 episodes are on the Spartan YouTube channel, and this was the first year that they've ever done anything like this. I think the one thing a lot of people have asked me in the gym that I wanted to touch on is one event that maybe the CrossFit Games could do, or something vice versa. And I think that event would be the mountain bike. Is they've kept us pretty safe in a track, and I really think it would be really cool if the CrossFit Games tested more of a true mountain bike. You can always get off and walk like I did at the Spartan Games, but it does push you outside of your comfort zone, and that sport in itself is, I saw some pro mountain bikers when I was there. There were some in the group, and it's just phenomenal to watch those athletes go. So I think for the CrossFit Games, that would be something cool if they could encompass that. But other than that, I hope I answered your guys' questions. If you have more, we could definitely do another video. Go back, watch all of the episodes, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I would love to answer any questions you have. And I hope you guys enjoyed this and have a great day. Don't forget, smash the like button and comment below.
I am